Hello everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are in San Myshuno at the Fountain View Penthouse, and we are building our own structure for a photographer's apartment. Now, I didn't really have any inspiration going into this apartment because initially it was going to be a restaurant, and then I really just didn't feel like dealing with building a restaurant because there's so many more requirements. And I had this really cool idea to use the Machino pack because I saw the windows and I thought it would be really nice to do like an industrial loft apartment. And then since I was using the Machino pack windows, I decided to go with a photographer that was going to be living here. Now, I also give them a space to do some streaming, some YouTube videos. My idea was that this sim had maybe done some photography that really made them famous when they were younger, like 18 or 19, and now they're in their 20s and they're having a hard time coming up with inspiration to keep making money, and they've almost blown through all of the money from their big break basically. So they have this apartment, this huge apartment, way too expensive for them to keep up, and they're now trying to branch out into other things that they might enjoy, trying to make some more money, but also be able to keep up with their photography and their passions, basically. That was kind of my idea. So the apartment is huge. I have a really tough time filling up the space, but they do have a little like YouTube filming section as well as their own photography studio. And I also created a sim to live in here. Her name is May Darnell, and you'll see a little sneak peek of her at the end if you stick it out through till the screenshots. She does make it into a couple of those, her and her dog Smokey. And that video of me creating her will be up tomorrow because, as you all know, my Let's Play is done, and I do have another series coming to my channel. It is going to involve cooking, but I haven't quite figured out all of the logistics to that yet. So for now, we are just going to stick with me doing like short, probably Create-A-Sim videos or no videos on Saturdays, but the cooking series should be up shortly, so it won't be that long before we get started into that. But here we are going on into the interior. So I skipped over kind of creating the loft part of the apartment because I was having an issue. The apartment just kept looking so big, so I would like delete the floor and then I'd go back in and change like the sizing of the apartment, so then I'd have to rebuild the floor and keep changing it, and my camera was moving around way too much for me to rationalize leaving that into the video. So I did decide to cut that out, but you can see me creating some rooms up there. That's going to be the bedroom and the upstairs bathroom, and then there is a downstairs bathroom as well, and then there's this little patio area outside. I get a couple of entertaining things to go out here, like a hot tub and everything, but you'll see that when we build it. And also, I wanted to mention, so the roof, I do end up putting, what are they called? Solar panels. I end up putting solar panels on this build. I don't know if they actually do anything with apartments. Now, I know the Fountain View Penthouse acts more as if it were a house, because it is a penthouse. You technically own the floor, so I'm not quite sure how it'll work with the penthouse apartment, but it should at least give you a little bit of a bill reduction, I believe, because it let me save this as a house on the gallery, so I'm pretty sure that the penthouse functions as a house, so the solar panels should help. But anyway, going into this is probably my favorite area of the entire build. I use these Machino, what are they called, bookcases, and they're so gorgeous. They remind me of the Seasons ones, but a decent size, not too big to fit into any single house like the Seasons ones are. And then I build like a custom shelving unit by turning around those counters from Cool Kitchen and kind of making them look like they have like that sliding door effect with the way that middle one kind of pushes out a little bit. And then I gave them a couple of gaming cubes. I think that's what they're called here in The Sims. But I gave them two because I figured they were like this sim was a huge nerd or a huge geek, and they had, their version, they had their own Xbox and a PlayStation, and they played games, they streamed themselves playing games. That's what their YouTube channel is about. So that was kind of what I was thinking. And then I used the Machino pack couches and chairs, but I mixed it with the bowling stuff pack, and I think that these two packs work really well together, which is kind of interesting because they're the two packs that probably have the most standout-ish style because they are so just like starkly modern compared to a lot of the things we have in the game, but they work so well together as long as you use the right pieces, because a lot of the color swatches match because they're such different, like brighter colors. But the living room is pretty much coming together. I don't believe I add too much clutter. I think I get a magazine like stack here on the table, and then you saw me pull those speakers out, but I do end up moving them later on because and then I put them back. I had a really hard time figuring out how to fill the space here, but back here is going to be their photography studio. It's not the best place for it, but I figured that their living room could kind of double as like a waiting area if they had a whole bunch of customers in one day, or they had like a really large photo shoot. Then everything was open, like the kitchen was there, their downstairs bathroom was here, everything was available for the models and maybe the people helping them on set to use and to be available. And then going over here into the kitchen, I really didn't like how these cabinets were looking because all of them look almost exactly the same, so I pulled out these end cabinets for them and kind of just merged them together so that not all of the cabinets had that glass cover on them. And then I added some string lights just because I've seen that on a whole bunch of Pinterest pictures and I really like how it looks in real life, so I wanted to try it out in The Sims, and I think it looks really good, especially if we're going with the storyline that this sim was younger when they kind of blew up and became famous, and now they have all this money and they kind of just decorated their apartment with the style that they wanted when they were like 19 years old, and now they're like mid-20s and trying to figure out their life basically. But I cluttered up the counters just a little bit. Most of the counters are still usable. I also gave them a dishwasher, which I don't usually do because my Sims almost never use them. But I decided that since, you know, she was a younger Sim, she probably didn't want to do her dishes herself, which honestly I can relate. So I'm not judging. I'm just saying that was kind of my thinking. And then I do end up going in and changing the appliance colors because over here in the dining room, which is my second favorite area of the house, I end up putting a red rug and these red wall decorations, and the white and the black and the red flowed cohesively with the white, black, and red that I put in the living room, and then it kind of just like melted in with the whole space. And then I looked in the kitchen and there was no red and it looked really awkward. So you see me here, I go in and I change the stove and the refrigerator over to red just to bring those pops of red into that area as well. And then over here is where I try and figure out something to put in that big empty space. And I do give them a guitar, which I don't put in that empty space for some weird reason. But I was going to do the streaming thing here. You saw me put it there. But then I was like, no, that doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't fill the space the way I wanted it to, and what else, and then what was I going to put upstairs? So then I was like, okay, I'll put the dog stuff here, but then I didn't have anything to put near the back door, so I moved the dog bowls, and so I put the speakers there for now, but I end up putting a bar there and putting the speakers back where they were, and I think that kind of just fits with the whole, they're entertaining their guests and their clients, so there's like a bar for the executives to go to basically while she's working with the clients on their pictures. And then over here, as I said, I figured she had been like a young prodigy, so she has a couple of awards and she has them lined up to remind herself of what she can do, even if she hasn't been able to do it since. And then I use these dodecagon lights. I think there's 12 sides. It could only be like an octagon, but I wasn't really counting at the time. But I use those and I kind of just form them together with whites, blacks, and reds just to give it that area a little bit more space and to fill up the wall a little bit. And then down here, it is a full bath, so there are 2 full baths in this build. And the one upstairs, though, has a lot less decor in it than the one downstairs. I didn't realize that at the time, but the one downstairs almost seems more like it's used than the one upstairs, but I figured she would spend most of her time downstairs anyway because she's working all the time. But this is going to be her streaming / YouTube section. As I said, I figured she was a gamer, so I put a couple of these pictures up here that looked like they could be game covers, and then I gave her a drone, and I also gave her that little like board from Discover University. It looks like a calendar and like there's some notes, and I know it's technically supposed to be for students, but I figured she was trying to keep track of her different clients for filming or for her photography and planning out some videos to do, because I know I do that. I plan out my videos. Well, I try to at least. So I figured that was kind of like a cute little thing to keep there. And then over here, I was trying to keep the artwork minimal and modern because the rest of this build is definitely more modern. So I was initially going to go with those Get Famous pictures, but they didn't look modern enough, so I decided to change it to that base game picture. And then in here is going to be her bedroom. So it's very simple. I end up using the Get Famous bed because I couldn't find one that I really liked, so I end up sticking with this one. And then I put a closet in here. Now they do have a closet and a dresser because they have that clothes rack from the Machino stuff pack, but I kind of figured that, again, since they were a little bit younger, they didn't have a lot of really nice clothes, but because they were trying to get their pictures into art galleries and stuff like that, they needed a set of nicer clothes, so I figured that their nicer clothes were hanging here outside, so that way they weren't all smushed together in their closet, and then all of their normal everyday clothes were in the closet. And then I'm putting a couple of different pictures around, and then I'm going into the upstairs bathroom. So again, this is another full-sized bathroom, and I end up changing the floor plan a little bit differently because of the way that the door was placed. And a couple of the walls on the outside do not have paint on them. You won't see me fix the painting in the video, but I do fix it before I upload it to the gallery, so that'll be fine. And then out here, I really wanted to use string lights, but I couldn't get all of the toddler ones to fit, so in my head I was like, well, if she's a young kid, she probably doesn't really care all that much about matching. So I was like, if she couldn't get it to fit, she probably just threw random string lights on there to keep the theme up. So I used the holiday ones, and I kind of just put them in between those two poles because it fit the best. And then I do a grill and a little like outdoor dining area, and initially I have these lounge chairs over here, but I do end up moving them over a little bit closer to the door because I end up placing a hot tub right in the corner here, and I thought it was just a little too close. And then besides that, that is pretty much it for this build. You'll see me add the bar over here in a second. But I hope you all enjoyed this one, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!